Alright YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So today guys, we are gonna talk about Kashtiras. Now it has been a day since we've tested the deck out. Zone locking on a Kashtira deck on a best of one format, whether or not you're going first or second, is kind of hard. It's really hard to actually do this, especially with a limited number of Kashtira cards that was released from the selection pack. Now but we managed to pull through with some of the games, not the zone locking thing. It is highly or unlikely that you can do that at the current state of Kashtiras, so might as well just gonna use it as an engine. Now the possible or the best way to use it as an engine is with, of course, some other link monsters or Exe monsters. There are not a ton of level 7 or rank 7 monsters that you can go into to protect your board once you summon those monsters on the field. Now there is a possibility though that you can go into a rank 7 play wherein you have like somewhat 1 or 2 monsters on the board, but even with that, it is hard to play or to counter some other decks currently still in Master Duel. So I would stop talking right now and go into the first deck profile that I want you to see. So here it is. Alright, so the first deck profile that I want you to check out is the primary Kashtira board wherein you can zone lock. So my idea for this deck is typically just summon a lot of level 7s to the board and then just zone lock your opponent out as fast as possible. Now the problem with this type of build is because if ever you're going second, there are some other possibilities that those monsters that you have, once used for an effect, will be negated or typically destroyed by your opponent's effect as well. So it is kind of hard to do this if ever you are going second for a Kashtira deck mainly. But I have one replay for this build, so I will check that one out later on. But before we go into the main build or the main Kashtira deck profile, if you like this kind of build, and I'll put the deck list in the description below. But yeah, we'll talk about it for a bit and then we'll move on to the main deck profile. So first off, we have one copy of Astral Kuriboh. Now all you have to do is reveal a number monster, which is of course Deblosis is a number monster. Special summon this to the field and it will copy its rank number, so it will be a level 7 monster on the board, which you can go into your number 89 Deblosis. Now once this is on the board, you need to take note that this monster right here will lock you into number monsters only, so be sure that you'll summon this when you're trying to summon Deblosis. So do not summon this when you're trying to summon the Shangri-La monster. 3 Maxis, 3 Ash Blossoms, 2 Call by the Graves, basic staples, 3 Rise Hearts, 2 copies of Dimension Shifter as a win con. I don't know why I put this one, but just for the sake of just using this in rank. 3 copies of Ascendant of Thunder, a typical staple in a Kashtira deck nowadays. 3 copies of Mech Knight Yellow Star and 3 copies of Mech Knight Red Moon. Now these cards right here allows you to spell summon itself if ever there are 2 cards on that line. And also if ever you're going second, this can easily be a level 7 fodder for you to go into your rank 7 place. 2 copies of Fenrir, 3 copies of Unicorn, 3 copies of Ogre, 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent, 3 copies of Instant Contact, 3 copies of Kashtira Birth, 2 copies of Call by the Grave, and lastly, your Preparations, which is the only Kashtira trap card that was released. That's your main deck. Your extra deck is 1 copy of Elemental Hero Aqua Neos. Now, I have some thoughts on whether or not putting a copy of, or 2 copies of Aqua Neos, but it's really up to you. You can remove some of the monsters here, maybe a copy of number 74. 1 copy of Baron the Floor so that you can go into special summoning your level 7 monster and then you normal summon Ash Blossom, go into Baron the Floor. Now if ever you have a copy of Birth, you can just special summon. If ever you have a Kashtira monster from the graveyard or out of play, you can just special summon it to the field. What else? Number 11, Big Eye. Number 74, Master Blades. 2 copies of Red Ice Flare Metal Dragon. 3 copies of Deblosis. 2 copies of Shangri-La. 1 copy of Arsenal Zeus, 1 Unicorn, 1 Access Code Docker, and of course, Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. It is easy enough to summon 4 monsters on the board, so I might as well gonna use Underworld Goddess of the Closed World for your opponent's monster as a fodder. So this is one of the build that I want to showcase to you guys. The other build is kinda okay, so let's go into that one. Alright, so here we are with the Kashtira combo that we showcased in, that we showcased in YugiOh Omega. The changes that were in this deck isn't that much, actually. So we didn't get the Theosis, we didn't get the field spell though, so that made or gave us more room for more cards to be added, like a copy of Imperm or a copy of Process Designator. But yeah, in the near future we'll need to change this one, by the way, so it will change from time to time. But at the current state of Kashtira, it is still, or it is widely used as an engine, not as a main deck, because it's really hard to make a deck out of the Kashtiras. Because there are a lot of problems that you need to encounter when you are using a Kashtira deck. Especially if people are using Kaijus nowadays. So, yeah, first and foremost, we have one copy of Shiwen, 2 Maxis. We had a copy before in the Omega where we had one copy of Maxi. But nevertheless, it's still fine. 2 Mecha Phantom Beast Lion, 3 Ash Blossoms, 1 Nemesis Corridor, 1 Thea, 3 copies of Rise Heart, 3 copies of Ascendant Thunder, 3 copies now of a copy of Vishada, 2 copies of Fenrir, 3 Unicorns, 3 Ogres, 2 copies of Instant Contact, and 3 copies of Kashtira Birth. For your other staples, you have Call by the Grave, 1 Cross of the Designator, and Infinite Impermanence. And the last 2 cards, we have 9 Pillars and a copy of Kashtira Preparations. It's not really the best of Kashtira cards, but it kind of works, you know. If ever your opponent activates a trap card, you can banish 1 card from your opponent's hand. So, cool enough. Extra deck wise, 1 copy of Aqua Neos, 1 Thunder Dragon Colossus, 1 Cupid Pitch, 1 Denglong, 1 Yazi, 1 Baxia, 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, 1 Shen Shen, your Bar on the Floor, your Sheng Ying. Now, for your go-to play, your Tomahawk, your 1 copy of Jablosis, 2 copies of Shangri-La, and your Mecha Phantom Beast, Aurora Dawn. So that is the Kashtira combo with the Aurora Dawn. The thing I want to say about this deck, it's kind of hard to do, especially with the current meta where people can just negate your monster. Especially when you summon the Aurora Dawn, they immediately know that you're trying to make a good combo or a really good board. So they'll just either negate or Ash Blossom your Aurora Dawn, and it's going to be hard to even go through that combo unless you have a Call by the Grave or a Cross of the Designator on hand. But yeah, that is basically the 2 deck profiles that I showcased to you guys. Let's move on to the replays. So typically 1 replay for the Zone Lock and 2 replays for the Aurora Dawn combo. So let's go. Alright, we have 1 Maxi, 1 Thea, 1 Unicorn, 1 Ogre, and 1 Call by the Grave. Now this is with the Aurora Dawn combo from here on out. And so we have a really good starting hand here. So the only thing that we can do here is go for Unicorn first, get a copy of Birth, and then use Birth to normal summon Ogre to the field. Ogre will get a copy of Preparations in case, or we should so that we don't draw this in our next turn, and go with our Tomahawk play. Now at this point on, it is just praying not for our Tomahawk or our Aurora Dawn not to be negated. So there we go. So sacrifice the Tomahawk and 2 tokens for an Aurora Dawn. Summon to the field, Spiritual Summon 3 tokens. And with that, we use the effect of Aurora Dawn, removing 1 token in itself, Spiritual Summon a Lion to the field, and we go for a Denglong. So the typical play that you saw in the YugiOh Omega, it is still viable with any level 7 monsters on the board. You can just immediately go into a Tomahawk play. So it doesn't really matter if you have a full Kashtira lineup that we use in the YugiOh Omega. It is still possible that you can use this here in Master Duel. So with that, Bar on the Floor, and with Denglong, Special Summon our Shiwen. Go for our Yazi here. So Yazi on the board, we destroy Yazi with the Bar on the Floor. Special Summon our Shiwen, and then from the... Since we already have the Thaya, we can just Special Summon our... that one. The Vishada from our deck. So with that, Cupid Pitch. Now I can go into a level 3 for Cupid Pitch here for Cheng Ying, but it's much more easier to have another negate on the board with Borreload Savage Dragon. And it was the right choice for me. I'll show you guys why. So there we go. Use the effect of Borrowload Savage, get Aurodon, equip it, and with the Cupid Pitch, get a copy of Nemesis Corridor, Spiritual Summon it, and then go for Colossus. And with that, level 7, we Spiritual Summon also another copy of our level 7 from our graveyard to the field. We go into our Shangri-Ira. So yeah, that's still good. So we have this actually is wasn't used properly because our Tia is on our hand. So that's one of the downsides of having this kind of combo. You have a copy of Shiwen or you have a copy of 9 Pillars on hand. So one of those problems. But we got Called by the Grave also and Kashtira Preparations as our backup for the board. So with that, during his draw phase, we will drop a copy of Maxi, and with his standby phase, summon Unicorn to the field. We are going up against Traptrix here, so interesting enough. So might as well gonna activate the preparations in case he'll use something. 5 back rows and 1 copy of Sarah. So very, very dangerous here. He'll use this card here, Trap Hole of Nightmare, targeted by Baron Floor. I mean, by Borrowload. Was it the Borrowload that he targeted? Yeah, Borrowload, and then the effect of Breakthrough Skill into my Baron Floor. We negate it, and Borrowload will negate the effect of that trap card there. So with that, use the effect of Unicorn on my turn, and then get a copy of Rise Heart from the Fenrir. So with that, we go into battle phase. Now here, I really thought that he just gave up. So I didn't even use the effect of my Kashtira monsters just to lock the zone out. And I really thought that he was just gonna let all of the damage in. But I was wrong. So yeah. There you go, Trap Hole Nightmare, getting a copy of Ferret. So what this card does is just bounce back all the cards depending on your opponent's life points. So yeah, really, really bad for me. Luckily, there's still a Shangri-Ira on the field though. So also main phase 2 preparations can be used. Rise Heart, gonna banish to 1 level 7. Shangri-Ira is gonna block 1 zone out. Use the effect of Contact. Go for Neos. And go for Jablosis here. And then Jablosis, removing a copy of Sarah. Banishing it. Use the effect more. Banish 7 cards more from the top of his deck. There you go. And we have 14? 12. What was it? 14? There's still, sorry, 2 cards face up here. So it should have been 5 only. So there you go. Still plausible with the zone lock. And with that, we go into our Baxia. And with this, end our turn. So we still have a really good board. So during his standby phase, we will spell summon one monster, but Breakthrough Skill is a really good card though. So I wanted to get a copy of this. So there you go, negated our Shangri-Ira. And then use the effect of preparations to remove 1 card on hand. So banish additional cards from the deck because of Jablosis. And with that, we are game. During our turn, standby phase, we use the effect of Shangri-Ira. It doesn't really matter if he uses a Torrential because we got 9 pillars. Negate that and it is game. So that is it. Alright, so we have 1 Kashtira, Rise Heart, 1 Ascendant of Thunder, 2 Infinite Impermanence. So not really the best of card, and also we don't have any interruptions if ever your opponent has Imperm, Ash Blossom, or Max C. So really, really bad. But we managed to pull it off. Anywho. So Rise Heart, this is what happens if it is uninterrupted and you do the combo correctly. So yeah. There we go, go into the Tomahawk. Typical play, so I'm just gonna fast forward this. You know already the play here. So there we go. Aurodon to the field. Tokens. Sacrifice Aurodon. Olion. Go for Denglong. Then send to the graveyard a copy of Vishada. Copy its level for Baron the Floor. Special Shiwen. Go for Yazi. Pop Yazi. So yeah, typical play for any type of deck. Cupid pitch, increase its level, go for level 5, 4, and 8. Cupid gets a copy of Corridor. So yeah, we have a really good board right here. So our typical combo board. And that's it. So 2 imperms on the board with 9 pillars. Our opponents start off with, of course, our very own kaiju, or his very own kaiju. Imperm my Colossus, so he targeted that, means he has something up his sleeves. So there you go, negate that card, sacrifice the Baxia. So Kashtira, so yeah, he can't add cards because of it. So Birth was actually used first, so that's somewhat saying we need to negate that. So he's gonna take control of 1 monster, get a copy of Baron on the Floor, popping 1 card. Still gonna use it anyways. So negate the effect of Baron on the Floor. And I think with that, he spell summons his own kaiju, use the normal summon Rice Heart. Use the effect of Rice Heart here, but luckily we got a copy of Imperm here. So that's insanely good. So he's gonna destroy my Colossus. We have removed 1 Thunder from the graveyard. And with the Raiden, we remove another Thunder from the graveyard. And that's basically it. So yeah. Sadly, we didn't get the copy of Baron on the Floor back. Not really a problem. Because at this point on, we have accessible to a level 7. So that is it. Alright guys, so here we are with against the Trickster, so not really the best of deck to counter on with the Kashtiras. But yeah, that's the only gameplay that I managed to pull off, and it's really hard to actually use this deck, especially that people know how to counter Kashtiras now. So we have 1 Maxi, 1 Rice Heart, 1 Fenrir, 1 Unicorn, and 1 Ogre as our starting hand. And we're going first, so insanely good that we're going first with a ton of Cashier cards. So let's go for summoning Unicorn to the field. Search out the Birth. We use the Birth here. We'll summon normal summon our Fenrir, I mean. Then get a copy of a Rice Heart for a follow-up next turn. So Rice Heart Spell summoned, and we go for the Shangri-La play. So there we go. With that, use the effect of Rice Heart, banish Ogre. Banish the 3 cards or 4 cards or 3 cards from your opponent's deck. Spell summon the Ogre from the effect of Birth. And we have an additional level 7 on the board. We can go into the Jablosis. And with that, from the Ogre, we got a copy of Preparations as well. So that's good. So effect of Jablosis, banish 4 cards from the top of the deck. And with Shangri-La, we will lock 1 zone more on the opponent's side. So there you go, 8 cards has been banished face down. We set our preparations and we end our board here. So just a quick note, like I said, it's not really or not typically the best board, even though, because it's just, you know, it can be kaiju and this can be negated, or this can be negated and this can be kaiju. It's either way. It's not really a really good board for Kashiras at the moment. But yeah, we just use our Maxi here, just hoping he won't summon a monster. Now when he activated the Trickster Light Stage, I immediately said, oh damn, that Maxi won't do good for us. So he's gonna get a copy of Candina here. And with Dark Room of Nightmare, it's gonna be hard for us to actually perform pretty well. But we go for Fenrir here. I should have targeted another card other than the monster. So he already has the Licorice on hand. So it was, you know, he removed the target here. So this was my previous build where I used the Dino Wrestler instead of 3 copies of the yellow something, the mech like yellow. So yeah, it doesn't really matter because, you know, you can't even summon this as long as you have a monster and your opponent has none. So we go for Ogre in the board, and typically that is our play right there. He stopped his spell summoning because he can't do anything about it anyway. So there we go, and a ton of burn. So a really bad lineup here at the currently. But nevertheless, my primary goal here is just to use the Zone Lock for this deck. So there we go. Use the effect of Shangri-La, spell summon our unicorn, and with the effect of preparations, banish one card face down. With the Jablosis and the Shangri-La or Shangri-Ira, we'll lock 2 zones out. So Mind Hacker, banish cards, and then the Shangri-Ira, banish or lock another zone out. So 18 cards has been banished face down, but we're still taking burn damage anyway, so doesn't really matter here. So with my only choice here is go into a copy of Big Eye, and then control the Licorice, and then go into Nightmare Unicorn, removing one of the face down cards. This current state that he is in, I can even just deal damage and then end my turn. And of course, locking the zone. So that's my primary goal here. So there we go. They're still taking on more damage. Doesn't really matter though. So we have all 5 zones locked on your opponent's side. With the Nightmare Unicorn, removing 1 back row in case he is using like any Mirror Force or Magic Cylinder. But I think he is using Magic Cylinder here, so that's good that we targeted something. Alright guys, so those were the replays, and that is the deck profile for you guys today. Hope you enjoy this kind of content. Like and subscribe for more contents like this in the near future. And I'll see you guys in the next deck profile. Keep safe, good luck, and goodbye.